Okay, so the next step I want to do is I want to create a very simple surface underneath this shell that you see here. So this is extremely easy to do. I'm going to use my planar surface in using a NURBS surface. So I'm going to go in the left hand side of my screen where I have my main toolbar for the NURBS surfaces. I expand the icon. It's called surface from 3 or 4 corner points. So if I expand this toolbar, again, it's the surface creation. So you've got multiple ways of creating your surfaces, as I said earlier. And one of them that I'm going to use is going to be the rectangular plane corner to corner. Simple as that. So I'm just going to left click on that. And I'm just going to randomly position it like this. And what I'm going to do actually with that surface here, let me just unlock all these other layers. Okay. So what I can do is you can select your surface like I'm doing now. And if you bring your cursor where it says select all, you expand the toolbar. And the fourth icon here, it's called invert selection. So select your object that you want to keep. You click on invert selection. So it's going to select everything. It's going to do the opposite selection basically, as the title of the function says. And I'm just going to click on hide so that I can focus only on this object. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to position it so that it's aligned with the origin point. So one way of doing it, there are multiple ways of doing that, but I'm just one that I'm comfortable with. I'm going to draw a line in 0 like I've always done before. So I'm placing the first point at 0 and I'm going to press shift and go along the Y direction from my top viewport and right click. So there's my line that is following the Y axis basically. I'm going to click on project on my snapping toolbar, and I'm going to click on the move icon, and I'm going to zoom in, select my object, my plane, right click, and I'm going to snap in mid and uncheck everything else in my snapping toolbar. And I'm just going to find the midpoint of my plane. As you can see, if I bring my cursor right above this edge, it finds the mid of my point here. I'm going to press shift to lock it along the X direction. And because I've got project activated, it's not going to snap directly onto the line that is sketched on the XY plane, but it's going to align it. And I'm just going to snap in perpendicular and maintain the pressure. Well, you don't need to press shift necessarily, because it's going to find the perpendicular automatically for you that way. So now I know that my plane is perfectly centered. All right. And now I can right click on the light bulb to show my objects, and there you have it. So now I can, knowing that the plane is perfectly centered, I can use with the gumball activated, I can use the handle. So for example, the red handle to do a 1D scale and to size it to the width I wish it to be. All right. So it needs to be connecting from armrest support to armrest support. So something about like this width. All right. And you just need to check that it looks right from all the 3 views. So the top view, the back view, and so on. All right. So I'm just going to hide all these toolbars. And I just want to make sure, I'm going to switch to the shaded mode for my back viewport so that we can see better. There it is. So I want the seat pan to be a sort of support for that bucket. So when you model something, try to model so that it makes sense technically. It doesn't have to be like fully engineered and all that, but you just have to create the illusion that it looks like it makes sense. All right. So I want a sort of support underneath that seat. And I want to make sure that it's discrete enough. So I don't want to make it too long. As you can see from this angle, let me rotate on the other view. This is a bit too much. I'm going to use the green handle of my gumball and just make it a bit more, conceal it, I mean. So maybe something that goes like that. It doesn't have to go all the way to the front end of that seat bucket. Something like that. All right, so let me just lock and hide my background image and then just see what it looks like. Yeah, that's not bad. I'm going to add some thickness to it. So I'm going to select my plane. There it is. And now I want to add some thickness to it. So I don't remember if I showed you this function, but that little point here on my axis, you see here on my gumball, I've got like a blue point. This is for extruding, so I can pull it down and I can extrude to make it a solid. All right, so let me undo that for you. Let's go back to the surface again. And I'm just taking, with my left cursor, with my left mouse button, I just press on that little blue dot and I'm just pulling it down, and I'm creating an extrusion like that using my gumball, a very small amount. Now I can round up the corners if I want, so I'm going to do a fillet edge, because now this is a poly surface, so I can expand my toolbar under the Boolean union, go and find the fillet edge, and I'm going to select this edge, that edge, and yeah, I might as well do it for this one. I'm going to put myself in ghosted mode first, select this edge and this edge, right click. So one of the radius is fairly big and it looks fine to me, so I'm just going to leave it at 1, and I'm just going to round up those corners. So if I switch back to the shaded mode, there you have it. Okay, that's good. Now if I bring back my background image, I need to do the front leg. So the front leg, I'm going to use it sub-Ds, okay? So we're going to practice a bit more the sub-Ds. I'm going to use the box tool, and this time I'm going to change maybe the count. Instead of being 4 by, well, the Y count, let me think, 4 by 4, I'm going to make it 2 by 2. 2 in X and 2 in Y. And I'm just going to randomly sketch it like about here and give whatever size I want, like that. So this is a 2 by 2 in the X and Y direction, right? 2 segments. And now if I press the tab key, that's what it looks like. And obviously I know that I need to add more details to that. So I'm going to take this, this simple plane and just drag it and match it with what I see in my viewport. And let's go back to the top view, and this is going to be the forward legs basically of my seat, like that. Maybe bring it higher. Let's try something like that. All right, so now that I've done that, I'm going to press the tab key to come out of the smooth factor. I'm going to press Control Shift and I'm going to select these faces, and I'm going to press Extrude in the Sub-D tool where it says here Extrude Sub-D. So, and I'm going to press Shift because now it doesn't give me like a straight line. So I'm going to press Shift so I can lock it along the Z direction in my back viewport, and I'm just going to go upwards by adding additional faces. So I'm going to select again this group of faces, Control Shift, and select these faces individually. And I'm going to add more faces again. So I'm going to bring it up. I'm pressing Shift again to lock it along the Z direction, and I'm moving upwards like that. So as I progress, I'm adding more and more faces by extruding. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take, for example, this vertex on the left viewport, and I'm just going to drag it so that it matches my sketch like that. Control Shift, select this vertex, and I'm going to move it here. Control Shift, and I'm going to select this vertex, and I'm going to move it like this. I'm going to ignore that rubber part that is at the tip of my leg. I'm just going to focus on the leg itself right now. So if I press the tab key to smooth it out, this is what it looks like. Okay, so obviously it still needs a lot of refinement, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to press Tab, and I'm going to select these faces. And again, you can do also the extrude with the gumball by pressing on this little dot, and it's going to extrude your sub-D as well. So it works with NURBS surfaces, but it also works with sub-Ds. So Control Shift, and I'm going to select this vertex and move it like that. I can select all these segments and points or faces by pressing Control Shift and doing a box selection, and just bring it higher, maybe like that. And now I can move around my vertices. So I'm going to have a sort of organic looking leg instead of being a bit too straight that. So if I press tab key, that's what it looks. So again, Control Shift, I'm going to select these faces. I'm going to extrude it, bring it higher, then Control Shift, and then I select my vertices and segments, and I'm just moving it like that. So you can check also on the back view. So I find that it's a bit too thick on the back viewport. So I'm going to use the gumball while I have the whole subd selected. I'm going to use the red handle of my gumball and just make it a bit narrower, like that. There you go. So you know, when you work with a tool like Rhino, it's always very practical to work with 4 viewports at the same time. For beginners, it takes a bit of time to get used to, but once you get used to that, it's very, very efficient. So learn to look at the 4 viewports at the same time so that you see if you make any mistakes or not. So I'm just going to move this vertex here and that vertex there. I'm not too concerned right now about here. I'm going to fix that later on. And I'm just going to add more faces. So I'm going to Control Shift and select these faces. And then I'm going to, with the gumball, I'm just extruding upwards that way. Control Shift, select the segments and move it on this view like that. And let's do another one. So Control Shift, select these faces and bring it up all the way into the geometries like that. Okay, so if I press tab, that's what it looks like. All right, looks much better, but I'm still going to refine that. So I'm going to press tab again. And for example, I'm going to select, well, it's better that I do this in perspective actually. So let's do that. So which segment? Sorry, I need to go back because I forgot. So I want to work on this segment here. So it's going to be this one here. So let me maximize my viewport. I'm going to select this segment. And again, I go back to my Subd tool and I go and select edge ring. And it's going to loop all the way around, as you can see. All right. And then I'm going to insert an edge like this. And you can snap in mid if you wish. Just make sure that you uncheck project. All right. And you can find the mid section here. All right. So now if I go back to my Subd model, in the left viewport, I can select this vertex and I'm just going to move it so that I can line it up. So try to have what we call a retopology so that it's nice and clean. It's the flow of all these segments. They call it retopology. Sorry about that. So it's how the segments flow from one to another. Try to have it nice and lined up and not something too messy, all right? That way it's going to guarantee that your geometry looks nice and clean. It's a very good habit to have, all right? So now I'm going to select this segment here and I'm going to add more segments in this one. So I'm going to select this segment and again I'm going to do a select edge ring. So I click on this icon, make sure that it goes all the way around, which it should do automatically. And then I'm going to do insert edge. I'm just going to uncheck maybe the mid and I'm going to add one edge here and I'm going to do the same for the lower one. Insert edge. Let's add it here like that. So now you can see that I'm adding a lot more details, whereas at the beginning I started with a very, very simple model. And that's the technique in Subd. Start with simple shapes and then add details. But it's the same for everything else. Even when you model in NURBS, start with very simple shapes and later you can add the fillets and all that stuff. And I emphasize a lot on that. It's important. Okay, so now if I go to my leg, let me just select the leg, and as I did before, I right click on select all to expand the toolbar, and I'm going to select the invert selection, and I'm just going to click on the light bulb so I can focus only on that. So watch what happens. If I press tab, you can see that because of the upper faces here, it's going to really round off the shape here, which is not something I want necessarily. So you can definitely select these faces and press delete. So now if I press the tab key, you can see that it maintains its shape here. The edge makes it crisper here. Okay, simply by removing the upper faces. So another thing I might want to do, I'm going to press tab. I'm going to select this segment here, and I'm going to do an edge ring selection again, and it's going to go around here. And yeah, I can only do this for this side. Okay, let's do it with this side first. And I'm going to do a insert edge, and I'm going to bring it very near the corner here, like that. And I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to select this this segment. I'm going to click on select edge ring, so you can see what it selects. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to insert another edge right near the corner, like that. So if I press the tab key, you can see that this corner is a lot sharper than this one. All right. So that's the purpose of adding all these edges as you start refining your model. You know, because it has a tendency to start with very organic, very rounded off shapes. So that's how you start adding more and more detail to your model. All right. There's another way of doing it. So I can select, for example, if I select this segment, if I select this segment by pressing Control Shift and you double click it, it's going to propagate all the way down. All right. This is a very automatic way to do it. Another way you can do to sharpen your corner is use the bevel tool. So remember that I've already demonstrated this before. By adding a bevel, you're adding segments on either side of the original segment that you've selected. All right. So it looks a bit different from the one I created here, but the principle is the same. I've got two segments on either side of the segment that I've selected initially. So if I press the tab key, that's what it looks like. Okay. So I leave that to you, how you want to create it, using the bevel or adding more segments by using the insert edge function. All right. And I'm going to do the same here. So I'm going to press Control Shift, double click so that it propagates all the way down, and I'm going to add a bevel. And notice that I'm working in the box selection. You can do it as in the soft selection if you want, but for me the box selection is I'm more sure to see how the faces are behaving and the vertices, because sometimes I get unwanted surprises if I start adding details when I'm in the soft mode. So let's go back to the soft mode, and there you have it. So I've sharpened here the corners like that. What I can do also, let me just hide the background image, and let's rotate downwards. So the faces at the bottom also have been removed. Well, this when I was extruding, the faces were not included during the extrusion, so that's fine. So that's why I have this corner nice and sharp. So if I bring back my background image again, and let's go to my this view here. So now I'm in the box model. I'm going to add another segment. So I'm going to go here, select this segment, do an edge ring loop. So it goes all the way around. And I'm going to insert another edge like that. And let's bring it a bit higher, something like that. So now, if I select these faces, so I'm going to go, actually, well, that's fine. I'm going to select them one by one. It's a bit long, but anyways. So let's see. If I try, I'm going to try an offset. So no, the offset won't work with the, that's too bad. So yeah, because in other tools, in other software, I can select the individual faces and offset them to give them thickness. However, let's try something else. What if I tried selecting all these faces, and I'm going to try to extrude it like that. This is not great. No, I don't like that. So let me think. How could I do that? The offset, this is only for the object that can offset. I have an idea. So I can do this. So I'm going to select this object. I'm going to do Control C, Control V. All right. I'm going to hide this leg, and I'm going to select all these faces. So I press Control Shift, I do a box selection. I'm going to select all these faces and press delete. All right, so I've got only this now, and I'm going to do an offset, and I want it to be outwards, and I'm going to type, well, I don't know what value, I don't know, 0.15 for example. Solid equals yes. So I use this function here, offset subd, all right, in my subd toolbar, and right click, and there you have it. You have a solid. It's kind of messy, but let's see. If I bring my leg, the value is too big, right? So I'm gonna Control Z, and I'm gonna do it again. So select your object, and I'm gonna do a offset subd. Let's try a much smaller value, 0.05 for example. Right click, and I'm just gonna say both sides equals no. So because it used the initial, based on this geometry, it offset inwards and outwards at the same time. That's not what I want. I just wanted to offset it on the outside, so I made sure that both sides equals no in my options. And I'm just going to right click, and that looks much better like that. So I can bring my leg, press the tab key, and there you have it. Okay. If you want to make it bigger, you can change the value. You just do undo and type 0.2, or I don't know, 0.075, 0.1 maybe, whatever makes you happy. All right, so that's how I do for the forward part of the leg. And yeah, so I'm going to select these two geometries, and I'm going to do a mirror. I don't need to do a reflect. I'm just going to mirror it. So I'm going to go here on the move tool, mirror, press 0, and send it on the other side. Make sure that copy equals yes. All right, so that's the first part. I'm still gonna add more details later on, but let's keep it at this for now, and I'll do the rear part this time. But for the rear, I'm gonna use the NURBS tools. Okay, it's very, very practical, I find, using the NURBS tools. All right, so I'll see you for the next phase. Thanks.